You just can't compare a regular job interview to a sales job interview. Because in sales, it's way harder to measure your skills from just having a conversation with a hiring manager. So if you want to absolutely crush that sales interview, then you've got to show up ready to demonstrate what you can do. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to go about doing that. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. So in today's video, we're going to look at a few things. We're going to look at why sales interviews are different to normal interviews, and then 3 steps to demonstrating your skill set, including a 30, 60, 90-day plan, how to handle objections like a pro, and how to kill it with closing. So they actually know, you demonstrate it in the interview itself, that you have what it takes to win new business. So let's hit it. So first off, why are sales interviews different to typical job interviews? Well, when you're trying to interview a salesperson, it's very difficult for the hiring manager because, well, they're trying to find someone who's actually worth hiring. But how do you know that? The person that you're interviewing might just be a good talker and be able to just bullshit you in the interview. And then on the flip side of this, you're trying to prove that you're great at sales when it's very difficult to prove that you're good at sales without sounding like you're just a bullshit in the interview itself as well. So you've got this like yin and yang of the hiring manager wants to see you sell, but you can't sell too hard because it's all a bit weird and awkward in the interview. It all comes down to this. Sales skills are damn tough to verify. And on the one hand, if you don't have a verified background in the business that your future employer can look at to see your experience, how often you've hit target, how often you've surpassed it, and see if you're any good, then it's difficult to get into that first sales role as well. You've got this negative feedback loop of not being able to get started, to build the experience, to hit your quota, and it all starts to fall apart. And who knows, at the end of the day, having hired a bunch of salespeople myself in the past 6 months for Selling Made Simple in our training program, who know if the CV or the resume that you have actually is true at all. Because sure, an employer, someone like myself, a hiring manager, can call your old boss, but most companies are so scared of saying anything negative in the referrals that they give these days to new employers that they barely tell you anything. They won't even tell you if they've hit target in the previous job. So it's all just up in the air and it's so random anyway. So you as an individual, right? How do you go in and crush that job interview? Well, because you're an unknown either way, even if it seems like on paper you've got loads of experience and you've hit quota, but no one can verify it, or it's your first sales job and so you've got no experience and there's nothing to verify in the first place, we need to now demonstrate your sales skills in the job interview itself. And there are 3 foolproof ways to do that. And number 1, this is the best way. I recommend this to absolutely everyone when you're job hunting for your next sales role. You've got to come into the job interview with a 30, 60, 90-day plan. And this 30, 60, 90-day plan is dead simple. Don't overcomplicate this process. It's what you're going to achieve in the first 30 days in the role, which is typically understanding the product, getting in front of your best customers, doing internal training and whatever you've got to do so you know where the fire exit is and all this nonsense. Then in 60 days, perhaps you're starting to do cold outreach. You're getting in touch with the best salespeople on your team and you're emulating what they're doing that's having success. And then at 90 days, we need to say, hey, we're getting deals done. Things are moving through the pipeline and I'm now showing that there's a somewhat of a return on investment from working with me. And when you hand over, you just slide it across the desk at your job interview, your 30, 60, 90-day plan. It shows that you're serious about the role. You've done a little bit of homework ahead of time. And it also shows, I find this really valuable when I'm hiring salespeople, that you're capable of self-management. And of course, it creates clear focus on your first 90 days on the job, which will lead to better productivity and more likely to ensure success. It's more likely to ensure that your goals, your aspirations, what you're moving towards are aligned with the organization as well. Now, of course, you don't work for the company. You don't have access to their insider information. So your plan doesn't have to be super complicated. And it does have to show that you've put a bit of thought into what it takes for you to be successful in this role. And then just to give you an overview of what this looks like on a page, you have your 30, 60, 90-day headlines, and then you need to include 3 to 5 goals in each one of these headlines, and you want to follow them with these 2 simple statements. To complete this goal, I will, and then outline the steps that you're going to need to complete and achieve that goal. And then for each one of these bullet points, you're also going to define what success looks like. You're going to use the statement, I will have success if. You're going to point out to a few simple measurable metrics that you can put down for each one of these points that's going to show that you've succeeded with that goal. Now, don't worry. All of this is way, way easier than it sounds. And honestly, just having any kind of 30, 60, 90-day plan, even if it's a terrible one, to hand over in your job interview makes a massive difference to a hiring manager and their opinion of you. And if you want to get more into this, I've created a whole video and entire blog post covering this in more detail that will link below this video, and you can find it over at salesman.org as well. So that's the prep that you're going to do before the interview itself. Now let's look at what you're going to do during the interview, what you need to show your hiring manager to get the job. And first off, you've got to be able to handle objections like a pro. Because if the hiring manager, sales manager, VP of sales, whoever's in the room with you knows what they're doing, they're going to put you under a little bit of pressure over perhaps something random, seamlessly pointless, just to see how you handle it. Maybe they're going to ask about a gap in your work history. At my last sales job, it was like the weirdest interview of all time. All they did was try and pick holes in everything that I said. They were just trying to see how I responded under stress. They knew that I wanted to move from their biggest competitor, where I was having success, to them. So there was good evidence that I could do the actual job. But they just wanted to see, I guess, my character and all these other intangibles as well. So they kept really pestering me on why I was moving from down south near Cambridge up to Leeds in the north. And the answer here was dead simple, right? My mum she's passed away now, but my mum was ill at the time of cancer, and I wanted to be closer to home. And they kept asking me this question over and over just to see if I would cave in. I was calm, cool, and collected. And that's what got me the job. Now, this might be a bit weird if you've never had a job interview that's gone like this in the past. But as long as you go into the interview knowing that they're going to throw objections at you and you've got a step-by-step process to respond to these objections, you're going to be absolutely fine. And that's where this objection handling framework from inside Selling Made Simple comes in handy. And you can use this during your job interviews as well as during the sales process as well. It's dead simple. Step one, you're going to listen to the issue that the prospect or the hiring manager in the interview gives you. And this is super important because before you can solve any objection, you need to be sure that you actually understand what is being said. So shut up. Don't try and rebuttal it immediately. Shut up and listen. Then we're going to repeat it back to the prospect or the hiring manager. This is going to show them that you've truly heard what they've said and you're not just regurgitating some cheesy, pre-planned answer that you got from some interview training book from the library or the internet or wherever. Now, at this point, you've got two options. You can solve the issue or you can move straight past it. We'll cover solving the issue first. So, in this case, let's say that there is a gap in your work history. Maybe you were focusing on building your skills, you went back to uni, or you were just looking for the right job. No matter what your answer is, you've got to explain it, solve the issue to the hiring manager, and then swiftly move on to the next step, which is confirm that it's been solved. Just ask, hey, does this solve that objection for you? Hey, does that explain the question that you had? If it doesn't explain it, then you need to either solve the issue itself better or re-listen to the objection. Maybe the hiring manager forgot what they actually asked you and objected about in the first instance, and you go through the process again. It's dead simple. No tricks, no weird hacks or anything like that. Listen to the issue, repeat it back, solve the issue, and then confirm that it's solved before you allow the conversation to move forward. Alternatively, and this is so valuable both in sales interviews and in the world of sales as well, if you listen to the issue and it's something that's going to be explained in the next 3 minutes in your sales presentation, or you're going to talk about it in your 30, 60, 90-day plan, just say, hey, can we cover this in a minute? Hey, is it okay if we put a pin in this, come back to it at the end of the interview? Hey, I'm going to explain this in my 30, 60, 90-day plan. Is it okay we talk about it then? And if they say yes, just move past it. You don't need to solve every single problem that comes your way. You don't need to be derailed by other people, both in sales interviews, in the sales arena itself when you're in the market, and just in life. You don't have to follow the lead of other people. As long as they think it's appropriate, it's absolutely fine to move past it on occasion as well. So when you've dealt with any objections that get thrown up in your job interview, you've ticked that box of being able to do objection handling in your sales role. Then it's time to move on to technique number 3, and that is killing it with closing. And because closing is one of, if not the most important sales skill that you could have, because of course, if you're not assertive enough and don't have a process to ask for the sale, it's very unlikely that you're going to get it. It's as simple as that. It's important that you demonstrate this in the hiring process as well. Your sales manager wants to know if you've got what it takes to close. How are they going to best measure this? Well, just close them on the job. And this is where the closing framework from inside Selling Made Simple Academy comes in. This is dead simple. You're going to say, hey, this interview went well. Does it make sense for me to get the role? That sounds a little bit cheesy, of course, but you've got to ask that question. If they say yes, congratulations, you just got a new sales role. What they might do though is say no, just to see how you handle the closing process and how you can move past no's, because you're going to get loads of no's in your sales career. If they say no, then you say, hey, well, what do we need to do to move this forward? What do we need to do to get me in this job? Because I'm excited to get started. This follow-up question is so powerful because it shows that you're really interested in the role. You're assertive. You're able to ask these difficult questions. You know what it takes to close. And beyond that, it also allows the hiring manager to identify any issues that may actually truly be holding them back from making you the new top sales rep. They may turn around and say, hey, well, there is another step of the interview process. We typically do a 2-stage interview process. We want to get you in with the CEO of the company because it's a startup that you're applying to. They might say, hey, we need to do a CRB check, which is a kind of background and security check here in the UK if you're working in medical devices. Like what I was, we spend loads of time in theatres. And so you go, okay, so if I pass the CRB check, does it make sense to give me the role? Again, at some point, they're going to say yes. And we just keep doing this loop over and over. Hey, does it make sense for me to get the role? No? Okay, well, what does it make sense for me to do to move things forward? Okay, I've done that. What does it make sense to do to move things forward? What does it make sense to do to move things forward? We do this over and over and over, and eventually we've covered all the bases. We've solved any issues or objections that the hiring manager has. And at some point, they've got to give us a straight yes or no for the role. With this system, you're showing that you are a closer, that you're capable of asking difficult questions, and that you're ready and able to take on any tasks head on that might come your way. And in any B2B sales role, this is so valuable for a hiring manager to pick up on, and it's what they want to see. So sales interviews can be tough, mainly because it's so hard to demonstrate your skills. But with the strategies I've just showed you in this video of having an outline of a 30, 60, 90-day plan, handling objections in the interview process itself like a pro by listening, repeating, solving, and then confirming, and then of course killing it with this closing process, this closing framework from inside Seller Made Simple Academy, you're going to prove your abilities in real time. Your interviewers are going to be like putty in your hands, and that means hopefully you're going to be able to land that dream sales job. And if you do have an interview coming up, go get it. I'm so excited for you to either join us in this selling profession or to take that new step forward and make a leap in your career. And if you enjoyed this video, why not click the video that's on the screen right now? Continue making selling simple.